Pandemic has had crippling impacts on tourism. And yet, this crisis has also opened the door towards reshaping the industry in a way that is mindful of long term sustainability, resilience, and safety. Good morning. I'm Patricia Mirasol, and I report for Business World. Join me and our panel of experts today as we discuss how both travelers and the tourism industry play a role towards a sustainable and safe industry for all stakeholders. Before I introduce our experts, let us first hear a message from Mr. Woodrow Makiling Jr., Undersecretary of the Department of Tourism. Mr. Makiling? Hello,
Good
Mr.
morning.
Makiling. Good morning. Good
Hi,
morning.
good morning. Hi, good morning. Thanks
Hi.
for the invitation and thanks for having us. I'm just fixing my
Likewise.
yeah.
It's okay.
I'm actually here at Clark for another event. So, should I deliver now my remarks? Should I proceed
Yes,
now?
please. Yes,
Thank you so
please.
much. Good morning once again, and thank you for this opportunity to speak before this vibrant group composed of business executives, MSMEs, startups, among other leading figures. On behalf of the Department of Tourism, our tourism chief, Secretary Bernadette Labalupuyat, I congratulate Business World, the country's most trusted multimedia partner and provider of news and content, for organizing this forum that aims to tackle the business prospects in travel and tourism in the post COVID 19, or what we must know now as the new and better normal. I am delighted to start today's discussion with the fact that the Philippines is now back in the market after almost 2 years, heeding the call of the United Nations, our UNWTO, and its sister agency, WHO. Our country on February 10, 2022, has opened its doors to international travel, easing up travel restrictions, and the Philippines has lifted the requirement of facility-based quarantine for fully vaccinated tourists coming from the visa-free countries. And of course, come April 1, 2022, a few days from now, travelers from all countries will be welcome to the Philippines once more. Of course, this did not happen overnight. In fact, it took us several attempts, sleepless nights, and a lot of prayers and hard work to get where we are right now. We had to convince our colleagues in the IATF how crucial, led by the secretary, it is to allow the entry of international travelers, how it will lead to growth in the travel and tourism sector, help restore jobs, generate much needed revenue for tourism related enterprises, tourism communities, and our economy, which was once fueled by tourism contribution, as much as 12.5% to our country's GDP. The COVID-19 pandemic. The COVID-19 pandemic was undoubtedly the most challenging crisis in the industry has seen in our lifetime. There was no playbook for the industry on how to deal with a crisis of this magnitude, which was even made difficult by the virus constantly mutating nature. But tourism has, time and again, proven that it has made of sterner stuff, and it is best known for its characteristics resilience. At the DOT, however, we believe that bouncing back isn't enough. This crisis made us realize that we have to make the industry better and stronger than it was before. One of the most immediate tasks we did in the department was to come up with the TRRP, or the Tourism Response and Recovery Program, which focused on mitigating the impacts of the pandemic by delivering financial assistance programs to workers and businesses in need, while upscaling efforts towards the safe recovery of tourism markets. It is based on the principles of three C's: convergence, collaboration, and cooperation, which, of course, together with the public and private stakeholders working hand in hand. This provided a caution to the industry to soften the blow of the pandemic by continuing the delivery of assistance programs for workers and businesses and upscaling efforts towards the safe recovery of tourism markets. The TRRP pursues three-pronged strategy that first ensures the protection of jobs and safety of tourism workers, visitors, and communities, supports recovery of tourism enterprises, and rebuilds confidence and grow demand in the domestic and foreign markets. In light of the pandemic, we had to make you had to take a really good look at the industry and reevaluate the strategies and targets we set for ourselves as laid out in our country's tourism roadmap, the National Tourism Development Plan of 2016 to 2022. For the remaining period of this year, the targets, strategies, and programs of the NTDP were reformulated actually to prioritize actions and activities to mitigate the impacts of COVID-19 and to achieve resilient, inclusive, and sustainable tourism recovery. Its trajectory for the next 2 years is to position the Philippines as a safe, fun, and competitive destination through strong partnerships with communities and visitors. The plan also focuses on developing and marketing portfolio of products that harness the natural and cultural endowments to benefit the present and future generations. While international tourism was at halt for more than 2 years, it made us hit the reset button and provided us the opportunity to think and rethink how to do business, to pivot towards resilient, inclusive, and sustainable growth. These goals would be achieved by capitalizing on the country's strengths, which are its people, of course, its diverse natural and cultural resources, its proximity to the developed and developing countries of Asia and the Pacific, and its historically robust domestic tourism market. But as you can imagine, the tourism landscape is very different from before the pandemic. Surveys conducted by the DOT in May of 2020 and December of 2020 revealed big changes in the travel preferences of Filipino tourists. They now wish to travel closer to home and prefer destinations with plenty of open spaces, low density facilities and areas, and curated experiences. Travelers' preferred activities include outdoor activities like going to the beach, hiking, and biking. Of course, we just launched our Find the One bike tour in La Union. It's really great, and you have to visit not just the surf but also diving. With staycations coming in next, international surveys have likewise reflected the changing preferences of foreign markets for similar products and their aspirations to travel to sustainable destinations. In response to these changing preferences in the new normal, one of the first things we did in the department during this lull period was to focus on strengthening the domestic tourism industry, the backbone of our country's tourism, in order to generate much needed revenue as we provide jobs and livelihoods to millions of Filipinos. We focus a lot of our attention on product development. We look a good we took a good look at our existing tourism circuits and products, improved and recalibrated them, and even created new ones altogether to increase the desire of Filipinos to travel locally. We undertook major development initiatives to improve products related to dive, health and wellness, food and culture, sun and beach, cruise, education, tourism, among many others. We also took the opportunity to provide capacity building training for tourism workers, such as tour guides and dive guides, in order to boost or enhance the competitiveness of our destinations. These saw 79 new and improved domestic tourism circuits nationwide, such as the Find the One in Region 1's Ridge to Reef Trails, to Western Visayas' Heritage Sugar Trail landscape, the infinite escapes of Eastern Visayas, to limitless adventures of Region 10 or Northern Mindanao, and experience it all in Davao. And of course, find yourself in the Cordilleras, among many others, delivering a promise of a complete travel experience that is richer, deeper, more authentic, more competitive, and ultimately more Filipino. By going and beyond making our sun and beaches our usual selling points to targeting new circle customers and new segments and expanding our market in order to get back to our competitive track, which demanded us to offer more nature and great outdoor destinations. It is our hope that we also bounce back better. In the aftermath of the pandemic, we have also set our sights in pursuing a more sustainable, inclusive, and resilient tourism, one that is anchored on a flagship program in partnership with the ADB called Transforming Communities Towards Resilient, Inclusive, Sustainable Tourism, or simply known as the Tourist Program. It primarily aims to upgrade our small and medium enterprises in the tourism value chain by widening their reach through online marketing, expanding sustainable consumption and production campaigns, and raising the skills, capabilities, and quality of their products. Secondly, it ensures everyone has access to opportunities and tourism experiences by increasing the participation of women and marginalized sectors in tourism development, promoting barrier free tourism, and engaging local communities, including indigenous peoples groups. The program also aims to build and strengthen capacities of destination for conservation and climate smart investments by developing awareness and education campaigns, um, materials, investing in market research and intelligence, conducting carrying capacity studies with other agencies, and studying conservation financing measures in nature based sites. Lastly, in order to fully attain a resilient, inclusive, and sustainable tourism industry, the program aims to formulate measures to address tourism risk and crisis that will set emergency plans and provide guidance to the LGUs and private sector in preparing and updating their crisis management plans based on the UN WTO and ASEAN guidelines and business continuity plans. This year, too, we are anticipating the completion of a 6 year development plan that will set the policy direction of the Philippine tourism industry in the new and better normal. This will serve as our successor plan that will pave the way for the industry's full recovery, building a strong foundation in anticipation of similar shocks that the industry may face in the future. Indeed, COVID 19 reminded me of what Albert Einstein said. In the midst of every crisis lies great opportunity. This pandemic gave us that opportunity, the chance to have an honest look at our industry, recognize its strengths as well as its weaknesses. We went through unbelievable tough times because of the pandemic, and we have survived it. And when the next crisis come, I hope not so too I hope not too soon, we know what we will always have each other to count on. It is therefore more fun in the Philippines where stakeholders, people, and the government alike work hand in hand in making tourism our country's success story once more. So what are you waiting for? Let's travel. Let's go across the country, dive right, and visit all these destinations. And we look forward to having you in our beautiful destinations. So pristine, so refreshed, so revitalized. Thank you and mabuhay. Maraming salamat.
Thank you very much, Undersecretary Makiling. So many wonderful initiatives and campaigns. I'm sure that the DOT's hard work is paying off. Now let's get acquainted with our speakers today. Our first speaker is Mr. Bobby Horrigan. Mr. Horrigan is the CEO and lead founder of Horrigan Hospitality that consults and manages for a number of hotels and restaurants in the Philippines. He is part of the management team of the six-star Grand Hyatt Hong Kong, as well as the general manager of Acacia Hotel. He's also the current board director of Chez de Rotisseau, as well as current vice president of both the Hotel and Restaurant Association of the Philippines and the Hotel Restaurant Cafe of the Philippines. Welcome, Mr. Horrigan.
Good morning. Thank you, Patricia. You can hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
quite well.
Thank you so much, and for all the viewers, good morning. It's a privilege and honor to be invited by Business World. And we're very excited in the Hotel and Restaurant Association of the Philippines because our industry was badly affected, and we all know that the airlines, hotels, and restaurants was severely affected for the last 2 years. However, we're very, very excited because everything is changing now. And I remember people were saying that it will take 5 years before we're going to get tourism going. However, it's not. It's actually happening right now. And so we're very excited because occupancies in hotels and resorts are doing quite well. Coming up will be Holy Week in the next 2 weeks, and a lot of destinations in Tagaytay, Batangas, Cebu, Davao, Palawan. All these areas are literally full for all of the resorts. I wanted to tell the viewers that during COVID, we the hotel industry got a lot of business from our overseas workers. They were truly the heroes, and so the government supported us, and we got the OA business, and then we got the business processing outsourcing, the call center industry as well. So these two industries really helped the hotel sector in the NCR region. And then after 6 months, it started going to Cebu, and then after 1 year, started going to Davao. So in a way, we were better off than other countries because other countries don't have 10 million overseas workers, and so we were very lucky to have them. And now we're transitioning to what is called the MUH and regular hotels. So we went from quarantine business, and now we're shifting now to multiple use hotels and regular hotels. And we're slowly seeing the business. We're slowly seeing the corporate market come in. We're seeing international travelers coming in, and we're seeing even leisure travelers from abroad, from Europe and in the US. So this is good news. And I know on April 1, there's going to be less restrictions for our international travelers, which is good news for us in the hotel industry. And so we're looking forward to more international tourists starting April 1. As you know, pre-COVID in 2019, we hit 113 million local tourists traveling around the Philippines. That's more than Malaysia and Singapore. And so we're looking forward to seeing our local business starting to come back. And so we're even seeing MICE business. So the MICE, the meetings and incentives, they're slowly coming back. So we see it in Cebu, we're seeing it in Davao, in the Mindanao region. A lot of meetings, a lot of government meetings are happening, and a lot of course, it helps when there's an election. So it's good for our economy. And so, like what Director Woodrow mentioned, travel locally. And I would recommend to all of us, to all the people, all the viewers, no need to go abroad. The Philippines is so beautiful. We have the best beaches in the world. We have the best people. So all around us, our hospitality is like no other. And so please visit. You visit Boracay, Palawan, Cebu, Davao. All of these regions are so beautiful. So please visit locally before you go abroad. And so that will save our economy in the coming years. And we're looking at 2022 Q4 to have a better occupancy for our hotels. And 2023, we should be back to 2019 pre-COVID levels. So please support all the hotels. And on behalf of the Hotel Restaurant Association of the Philippines, thank you for inviting. And thank you, the DOT, Director Woodrow, Director Andrada, for working closely with us. We're very excited. You've done an excellent job during COVID and even before COVID. So thank you very much. Thank you, Patricia.
Mr. Horrigan, I'm very happy that the industry is bouncing back way better than before, it seems. Our next speaker is Dr. Ramon Benedicto A. Alampay. Dr. Randy Alampay has been an academic and development consultant in the field of tourism for more than 30 years. He is an associate professor and currently the director for tourism research and extension services of the Asian Institute of Tourism in the University of the Philippines, Diliman. As a tourism consultant, Dr. Alampay has been very active in working with local government units to build sustainable and resilient local tourism economies. Okay, would Mr. Alampay, okay, let's move on to our next speaker, Miss Maria Suzette Geminiano. Miss Sue Geminiano is the marketing manager of Hotel Sogo, a hotel chain in the Philippines with a network of 45 branches plus more in the pipeline. She has been a national sales and marketing head for 20 years. Also a registered nurse, she is certified as a digital marketing specialist and has digital analytics certification from Wharton University. She likewise has a digital and mobile marketing certificate from CDM and attended the Fundamentals of Marketing Masters program at the Asian Institute of Management. Welcome, Ms. Sue Geminiano. Please share your opening statement. I think you're on mute, Ms. Sue.
Hi, do you hear me
Y-
now?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, I'm Sue Geminiano, the corporate marketing head of Hotel Sogo. Hotel Sogo is the fastest, largest, and growing hotel chain in the Philippines, well, in the industry, with 45 chains nationwide. Hotel Sogo, as our tagline says, so clean, so good, so safe. Well, this new normal or post pandemic time, we have actually implemented the 11 anti COVID innovations. Aside from the usual protocol of the social distancing, temperature checks, contact tracing, we have implemented 11 anti-COVID innovations. We call it that because it's not just clean, but sanitized and disinfected. That is because, first, if you can see on the screen that we have UVC disinfection of rooms, utensils, key cards, and cash registers. We have also a far UVC disinfection at our hotel elevator lobby. So it has been proven that it can kill microorganisms, viruses, and bacteria. Our room aircons also have UVC filters. So this disinfects the air that comes in and out of the aircon. We also have this ventilation. ACR is doubled in our lobbies and hallways. Aside from the normal, and we have also our COVID sniffer dogs for screening our employees to be sure that our employees are safe and not infected. So our guests will really feel that they are safe and they are sure that they won't be infected. Our doors are actually automatic thermal controlled. If the temperature of the guest is not normal, then the door will not open, meaning to say they can't enter the facility. Of course, aside from all those disinfection, we have to test. We have this microbial ATP fluorescence testing of surfaces. That is to make sure that there are no bacteria or viruses that are being left after cleaning. We also make sure that there are no bacteria or viruses on the surfaces that are unable to avoid. We have reduced our touch points in by 60%, I believe, in all our branches because we have installed the touchless equipment. And aside from that, we have this multi-stage air purifying equipment in lobbies and also along hallways. We want to make sure that all our guests and our employees will be safe from the virus. We provide our guests a no contact key uh, for them to use in pressing the elevator buttons. Aside from that, I would like also to let everybody know that Hotel Sogo is has the flexible check-in time, so they can check in anytime and for a very flexible number of hours of stay. So aside from that, we firmly believe that and we are really sure that anyone who will be staying in for staycation for leisure accommodation will be safe and will be accommodated well. So thank you.
Very much, Miss Sue. I think it's very amazing those 11 so safe innovations that you mentioned, especially the COVID sniffer dogs. I've never heard of that. It's so interesting. Why don't we go back to Dr. Alampay for his opening statement? Dr. Alampay?
Okay. Hi. Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Pat. Thank you, Business World, for the invitation. So they asked me to give some thoughts on the theme of today, which is safe and sustainable travels in the new normal. So I just have three points to talk about. So first, I agree with Yusek Makiling and the OT. It's really the domestic markets which will sustain Philippine tourism as we open over the next few years. It will be the domestic markets which will help Mr. Horrigan and the hotels to achieve to 2019 levels by 2023. Although international tourism is reopening, nobody is expecting us to get back to 2019 levels. That was, I think, 8 million international visitors for the Philippines then. Before 2024, among others, it's the airline industry is still going to ramp up. Right now it's only about 50% capacity. It will take some time before it gets back to pre-COVID levels. And for us, that's very important because we're almost 95% dependent on air travel. So that's one. It's really the domestic markets that we want to that we can expect to sustain us as we reopen tourism. The second point is that as we open tourism, especially to the domestic markets, we need to ensure that reopening will be done carefully and safely. Okay, everybody's talking about revenge travel.
Mm,
Gigil na yung domestic
right.
tourists to go around the Philippines. But let's avoid the trap of parang revenge business. Okay, we've been shut down for 2 years. Let's take advantage and let's try to maximize our visitors as soon as we can. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to encourage people to move around, but not everybody. Like I'm happy that Tagaytay, Baguio, Boracay, the hotels there are full. That just means we don't need to promote those places anymore, and maybe encourage people to go to other destinations, other places around the Philippines, disperse travel, especially to the secondary smaller destinations, especially those with more outdoor activities, less crowded activities. So let's not fall into the trap of thinking na okay, tapos na yung pandemic, we don't need to do all of these health and safety protocols anymore. Those are going to be with us for forever. These are going to be part of our business, of the way that we do tourism business, and we need to be always ready. The other fact of life now is that is COVID. Okay, we need to be ready for, like, in Hong Kong, in China, we will have these sudden surges of the virus, and then we will need to reimpose certain containment policies. Our destinations, our businesses need to be resilient in responding to those sudden uh, changes. So reopen, but let's be always careful. Let's continue the good habits that we've developed over through the pandemic. And the last point is that since we're talking about sustainable travel, we need to walk the talk. We always get we when the pandemic started, we saw so maybe a few months later we saw images of the Great Barrier Reef in Australia, which was supposed to be dying, but suddenly being rejuvenated. We saw all of these. We marveled at all of these beautiful images of Boracay, Palawan, our natural areas, so beautiful without tourists. And then we kept saying that we need to maintain them in that state, and when tourism reopens, we will do things better, we will do things sustainably. So we have to walk that talk, and so we need to develop new sustainable business models. So as we promote tourism, we also need to promote responsible travel. I think DOT started a campaign there on do's and don'ts, how you can be a responsible tourist, how you can contribute to sustaining the destination that you visit. These are the things that we need to mainstream into our marketing and promotions also. Um, and lastly, one of the biggest complaints during the pandemic that was there was all of these inconsistencies between regulations ng national government, IATF, and local government. Um, as we prepare for the better normal, we need to continue working on harmonizing the travel policies, sustainability policies, and investments for seamless and safe travel within the Philippines. So we need to harmonize how national government and local governments are preparing for tourism development, and also how neighboring LGUs can work together on uh, on sustainable and responsible and inclusive travel for all. Also, thank you, and I look forward to the discussion later.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Alampay. Welcome again, everyone, and thank you for taking the time for this discussion. Now let's start our Q&A. I'd like to start our Q&A with a question on, oh, by the way, is Dr. Andrada here? Director Andrada? Okay, let's introduce Director Andrada first. Mr. Warner M. Andrada is the OIC Director of the Office of Tourism Development, Planning, Research, and Information Management at the Department of Tourism, or DOT. His responsibilities include crafting tourism policies and gathering, processing, and analyzing data to measure the tourism industry's impact on the economy. He has been with the department for more than 25 years. Hello, Dr. and Director Andrada.
Hello, good morning. Yeah. Well,
Morning.
yeah, good morning. I think we heard a lot from the previous resource speaker. What they're saying is already what's really the trend and what's happening now, from recovery down to the innovation of the business towards new normal. And I think these are already signs or indicators that the industry is moving in a different direction prior to the pre-COVID. I think that's one of the observations that we could take note on. I think given this what we call new normal, uh, I think the landscape of business model in the tourism is slightly moving in a different direction now. Yeah.
Talking about recovery, do you think that, Director Andrada, do you think that sustainability and safety is central to the recovery of tourism?
I think yes. If you look at it, it's about when you say sustainability, it doesn't only mean about conserving or looking at the natural resources, but rather in the business model of the industry also. So in the initial, if you look at when you say sustainable resorts, uh, complying to the requirement of sustainability in the first investment that will become costly. But in the long run, the model will help sustain the business in a more profitable way. No? Given this pandemic, what you call it, the most case study that we could see now is Boracay. No? Well, Boracay is a good classic uh, case for sustainable development between market, profitability, and maintaining our environment. But given this reset from the Boracay, the value of experience of the tourists in a certain destination become more, let me call it, more valuable on his experience now. And that is what we're looking at it in the future. While we protect our environment, it's more also helping the business grow into a more innovative way. I think that's the key questions now for sustainable development. It's not only a concept of protecting the environment, but creating balance to all the activity, only in the business, but protecting the community and the resources that we have.
Right. Thank you for that, Director Andrada. Talking about sustainable resorts, Mr. Horrigan, what does that look like in your opinion? I mean, Director Andrada talked about sustainable resorts. So, what is your definition of that, and how do you balance the business equation with taking care of the environment?
We really need to take care of the environment for the next generation. I just came back from Boracay yesterday and on a business trip, and the Boracay is doing it very, very well with the QR codes to come in, everybody wearing face masks. And if you don't wear your face mask, a colleague of mine, I mean, he was being charged 2,000 pesos for not wearing it for like a few seconds. And so they're very, very strict. And all the things that they've done, remember, they did a shutdown for 6 months and they widened the roads. They worked on the STP. Now the STP, the water is so clean, they can use the STP and use it for irrigation. And before, I remember with all the bad smell, and now it's so much better. Other sustainable practices that they do, for example, this is just Boracay, and I'm sure it's being done all around the Philippines, in Palawan and resorts and in Mactan and everywhere. But everyone's getting into water bottles. I remember 10, 20, 30 years ago going down to Boracay, it was all single-use plastics. And now it's all bottled waters. Everybody has bottles, and so more, no more of this plastic. And then you notice the e-trikes. They're all electric in Boracay, and people with their golf carts are going electric and solar as well. No more collaterals in the rooms. They're all QR codes through the TVs, and they use pencils. And so biodegradable, the amenities, they're all biodegradable, all the wrappers. And then the single-use amenity bottles are all going to be gone in the next 2 years. It's all going to be pump bottles. So a lot of sustainable practices I've seen just on my recent trip, but it's happening all around the Philippines. And so you have people using heat pumps to heat up water, their water in the guest rooms. The road systems are designed where the water, the rainwater, will go into the aquifer, into the to the ground, and then they'll take it out from the deep well. And so the tiles that they use in the pools, they attract heat, and so you don't have to warm the pool anymore. All the lighting are all LEDs, and it saves a lot of carbon footprint. The MRFs, the material recovery facilities, segregating the biodegradable and the degradable are very, very they're doing it very well. Even the chemicals used for the linens, the chemicals used for the laundry facilities are they're top notch from abroad. Whether they're using the big names, Ecolab or Johnson Diversey, and so I see a lot of sustainability acts that they're doing. Resorts having green teams, and so they're really looking forward to how to cut the carbon footprint. Thank you, Patricia.
Wow. Thank you for that. There's so many wonderful developments towards sustainability in Boracay and in other places as well. Okay, so let's talk a bit about rural destinations. There was a survey by Airbnb back in October 2021 that said that more than half of Filipinos are planning to travel to rural destinations that are not popular and touristy. My question is, how can these off the beaten track destinations be protected from the onset so that they won't end up being another cesspool that would need to be fixed later on? Anyone? How about Ms. Dr. Alampay?
Um, yeah. Well, first, I think so. Bobby talked a lot about what the destinations, what the hotels, the resorts, for example, are doing. I think we really need to emphasize also the demand side, the behavior of our tourists. I think that's the main thing. If our visitors, whether domestic or foreign, are responsible and conscious about their actions and protecting the or contributing to the sustainability of the destinations they're going to, then significantly minimizes the risk to whatever destination they're going to, whether it's a smaller, less
Mhm.
developed destination that maybe not the systems for tourism are not yet fully developed. So I think that's important. I think the as I mentioned, DOT already started with some of those responsible travel campaigns. I think that's something that we should really invest in, because it's not just and particularly the issue that Bobby mentioned earlier about the plastic in the tourism value chain. That's one of the most important things that we as individual travelers can really contribute to minimizing our use of single-use plastic, all of those sachets or our plastic wrappers, and especially the PET bottles. That's one thing. The other is the smaller destinations need to be supported. Many may not have the knowledge or the skills or the resources, so either supported by DOT in building capacity, and also supported by the provincial government. So maybe if they're not yet developed, then maybe they can pool their resources together and work together on developing protective systems for the destinations and their communities.
Thank you for that, Dr. Alampay. Let's move on to disinfection equipment because Miss Sue mentioned a lot about it with her 11 anti COVID innovations. Moving forward, Miss Sue, do you foresee the use of HEPA air filters and UV disinfection equipment to be SOP in hotels and resorts? And should they be SOP? What do you think?
Well, I believe yes, we should, because through our research, we have proven that this is the most effective in mitigating viruses and microorganisms. Also, but we have to make sure that this should be a human grade UVC. There is such a degree of that UVC light that will be used that is safe for people. If you remember, some one time during the lockdown in 2020s, there were some danger in using of UVC. But of course, that happened because the UVC that was used at that time is not human grade. And yes, the HEPA filter for the air cons, most especially to hotels like we have what we have is actually we call the budget hotels that with a specific uh, measurement of rooms. So in that kind of enclosed area, it is important that we have this HEPA UVC air filter. So actually, we made some manuals for this, just in case people from the Hotel and Restaurant Association of the Philippines may be interested. We are
Mhm.
very glad to share it with them.
Nice.
Yeah, we have this studies also. Our research and development continue to study and research on information and details about mitigating uh, the viruses. This will be, I believe, though we are already in alert level 1 or 0, uh, this won't really stop. There will be viruses here, anywhere in the near future. But it's better that we are ready and we know what to do.
By the way, these technologies that are already in Hotel Sogo, do they also protect against the other types of coronaviruses? Do they protect against other viruses?
Yes, yes.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, flu virus, influenza, that is being mitigated as well, and any other microorganisms that can be uh, transferred to one person through uh, droplet infection. It is
Okay,
being filtered also.
okay. By the way, your bio mentioned that you're a digital marketing expert. So I would like to ask, what's the marketing plan for enticing travelers back to your hotel? Is Hotel Sogo marketing to staycationers, business travelers? What's your plan for getting them back to your facilities?
Uh, what we are doing right now is the digital transformation of our facilities. Like we are trying to start doing the well, we already have the online reservation, right? But we are what we are trying to work work on is the check-in accommodation that prohibits another person from talking to you. Like if there are some needs, like let's say you will need extra towel or extra, you will do it online through QR code, something like that. Digitalization as well, like if you want to book yourself for checking in few hours, we can do that through a mobile app, although it's not yet launched. We are still working on it. We're trying to do the hard testing and all. That is what we do for digitalization. For promotion, of course, we have this the discounts, marketing strategy wise. We have this um, like if you will register yourself for being a VIP guest, you will be like having this another, aside from a regular discount, you have a special discount being a VIP, free meal or free drink, or on your birthday you would have like 50% discount or another free stay. So these are the marketing programs that we have set for our guests to go back and do the leisure accommodation.
All right. Thank you very much for that, Miss Sue. Okay, my next question. Let's go back to domestic tourism because it was emphasized a lot in the opening statement. Let's go back to Mr. Horrigan. Mr. Bobby, what are some promising pathways of domestic tourism?
Well, a lot of it is right now is local tourism, local destinations, and so it's all of us in the hotel industry are creating some exciting packages and promos, and so whether it comes out in the social media sites like Facebook or Instagram, or if it's in your e-commerce in your own website, or even in the OTAs, the online travel agents. So we're working closely with all of these segments, even including the corporate sector. And so we're just trying to drive in more business. And so whether it's staycation, if it's just around the area, staycation, or it's some packages and promos for 3 nights or 4 nights in destinations in Visayas and Mindanao, or even in Baguio. And so we see these destinations all picking up, and especially I mentioned earlier that Easter is coming close, and so all these hotels are picking up, and so. What we have to concentrate is NCR right now is to get more corporate business and more events, more either it's social or it's corporate events.
All
Thank
right,
you.
thank you for that. What do you think of expatriates? Do you think that they're a good niche market to tap also for domestic tourism?
Yes, but right now in the last few weeks, what we see is all these Europeans and people from North America or Canada coming back with their Filipina girlfriends or wives. That's what we see right now in the last several weeks in the planes. If you travel locally, that's what you'll see. But that will slowly change because Singapore is opening up. Singapore and in Hong Kong as well will be opening up very soon. So soon we're going to see the Chinese market coming in, the Taiwanese, and other people coming in to help us for the hotel occupancies, the
That's
foreigners.
that's great news for increased revenues. Dwelling more on tourism, how about Farm Tourism Director Andrada? I hear that the Department of Tourism has collaborated with the Department of Agriculture for farm tourism. Could you tell us more about that? Uh, how does it fit in the grand scheme of things?
Thank you, Pat. I think farm tourism, there's a law basically wherein both agency have to work together to promote farm tourism. If you look at the objective of the law is to promote to the youngster or to the next generation the beauty of farming. So that's one wherein we encourage more on the domestic travel. But we're also looking at some markets in the international markets that have a niche on the farm experience. So if you look at it, we already the Department of Agriculture has already initially drafted a strategic plan on how we will further develop and promote farm tourism in the country. And given the statement of Dr. Alampay that the products that are more viable with the new normal are those open spaces wherein farm tourism fits in as one of the products that could be promoted domestically and internationally. So if you look at it, we have already accredited some around more than 100 farm tourism sites, that they could accommodate tourists and learn how farming in a certain different aspects. So I think that's the beauty of the farm tourism. And on another note, if you look at it, we conducted a partner with AIM Institute of Asian Institute of Management, where they conducted a market study during the COVID time, wherein most of the respondents say that they're looking at it nature-based activities like farm tourism, ecotourism, wherein there's no the diffusion of people are more diverse. No? I think that's the farm tourism we're looking at it, and given that there is a support also from the law and the two agencies and DTI between Department of Agriculture and Tourism working together. Aside from that, the private sector such as PhilToa and Farm Tourism Associations of the Philippines are working together to further promote the product on this.
Thank you for that, Dr. Director Andrada. I'm looking forward to farm tourism. My next question is about future trends. Aside from safety and sustainability, what else will be shaping the post pandemic future of tourism? Dr. Alampay?
Yeah, even before the pandemic, it was really about authenticity and unique experience. I think as we move forward, we're going to come up to have more demand for very customized or unique experiences, more hands-on types of experiences. Like for example, creative tourism, where you can. In the past, when we experienced our creative industries, it was more passive. We would view paintings or performances where in now we're going into activities or packages where we do the painting, where we do the crafts, or we work with the local artisans and learn how they dance, how they cook, and try them themselves. I think we're going to have more of those, and from like I think that's an opportunity for us. If you look at how many new hobbies we tried and learned while we were in lockdown. I think those new hobbies can be the basis for new activities moving forward, more experiential. The other thing is that business travel and MICE are going to evolve um, because of all of these remote sessions. We're going to probably have more blended meetings and events. Maybe business travel as we knew it will slow down, but there's also this phenomenon of workations and working outside our usual environment. So all of that is very fluid and also very exciting.
Thank you for that, Dr. Alampay. When you mentioned blended events, it reminded me of the Huawei press conference I attended just last Monday. Half of the participants were in China, the rest were from all over the world via Zoom. That's awesome. My next question is about the consumer side of things. On the consumer side, how can travelers themselves fully maximize and appreciate the benefits of traveling whilst ensuring their personal safety? Anyone can answer. Anyone?
Uh, yeah, maybe I could talk on that. I think the behavior of the market, as Dr. Randy Alampay, are changing now. They become more conscious on the safety and hygiene. If you look at it, they will always, if they book, they will always ask the resort, especially when I was in Boracay. One of the resorts telling me that It's hard to every time there's an inquiry with them, they will always ask what are the protocols in the resorts or in a hotel. So if you look at it, the market become more aware and conscious on the health and safety, and they would like to maximize the value that they are getting it now. The third is that the use of the SMISU, about the digital transformation. I think that's the next trend in the tourism industry. You look at it, the behavior of the market are more tech savvy. Even the market who are grayscale, the gray market that we're looking at it, are now using the digital system now. And if you look at during the pandemic, the boom of the e-commerce has been really, as DTI reported, there's about 121% increase in the e-commerce industry. Given that a lot of investment are already taking place in the e-commerce and digital transformation, I think that will be the next trend, and I think that's the tool also for the market to maximize the value of their travel in terms of safety and hygiene. And I think they said information is power, and that's how they would like to maximize the value of what they get in certain experiences. Thank you, but
Thank you for
Pat,
that. Yes, go
um,
on,
I
Miss
would
Sue.
like to add on the consumer side,
Okay.
right? If you have noticed, some of the airlines have given or such packages like a good deal, if I may say, in flight expenses. Maybe as a consumer, I would be able to maximize that by getting lot and planning more travels within the period of time that the discount or the package that these airlines are offering, so I can maximize that. And also, as director said that Dr. Andrade, I believe, he said that everyone or most travelers are now aware of the health. It's not only physical health that they are aware now. In fact, they are aware of mental health. So we have been really consumed with our work from home thing, the work that is actually more than 8 hours when we are doing our work from home. So we need to have a timeout. So it's not necessary for you to go out of town. If there are a hotel near your place, like Hotel Sogo, you can somehow go and stay there and do your staycation. You can have your pampering there. You have your free time, and also like uh, Director Alampay said, that you can do your thing, your hobby in a hotel wherein you can have peace of mind and a fresh start for the next week. So that I may add as a consumer point of view.
Thank you for that additional input, Miss Sue. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. I would like to invite everyone to share their closing statements before we formally end this session. Let's start with Ms. Geminiano and then Dr. Alampay, Mr. Horrigan, and Dr. Director Andrada.
Okay, thank you so much, Business World, for having us. And thank you for all the viewers. Now, I would like you to know that and make you aware that Hotel Sogo is so clean, so good, so safe. So come and visit us and have your staycation. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that succinct closing statement, Ms. Emiliano. Dr. Alampay?
Thank you so much, Business World, for this. I'm excited for the opening of tourism again in the Philippines. I'm happy for our stakeholders, and I'm very optimistic that we will be really moving towards a better tourism through sustainable and responsible travel. Thank you.
We are definitely all excited for the opening of tourism. Thank you, Dr. Alampay. Mr. Horrigan?
Thank you for Business World for inviting, and to all the viewers, take advantage of all the promos and packages right now because they're about half the price of what it is come December time. So travel local, don't go abroad. patronize all the hotels and resorts and the restaurants around the country. And so we hope to recover very, very soon in this industry of ours. God bless everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, Director Andrada.
Well, thank you to the business world for this forum. I think the Department of Tourism is very optimistic for the rebound or the revitalization of our industry. And we're still looking at it. Hope by 2023 we will be able to achieve at least 41% or 40% of the market that we have lost in 2019. So we don't know because of this uncertainty for now, but we're looking at the different scenario that this certain positive will come up in the next 3 years. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Director Alampay. We are all hopeful that tourism will be this country's success story. Many thanks to our speakers for sharing your insights, Yusek Makiling for your message earlier, as well as Director Andrada, Mr. Horrigan, Dr. Alampay, and Ms. Hebiniano. Many thanks also to Hotel Sogo for supporting this session and to our partner organizations, the British Chamber of Commerce of the Philippines, the Management Association of the Philippines, the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and to our media partner, the Philippine Star. And of course, to everyone who joined us today, thank you. Be sure to follow Business World's social media pages and be updated on our next projects. Again, this is Patricia Mirasol, and this has been Business World Insights. Have a great afternoon.